I want to introduce to you our presenters, Michael Bach and J.D. Andrews.
Great. Thank you. So just real fast, by way of introduction, again, I'm Michael Bach, this is J.D. Andrews, and we are Teammanship. Now, what Teammanship does is, real fast, high-performance individuals can be as many as 10 times more proficient than their counterparts. So we call that a performance factor. It's a performance factor of 10. So, but the real magic happens when you take that individual and carry it up to the team. So if the high-performance individual can be 10 times more proficient, does anybody want to hazard a guess what a high-performance team might be? What might be their performance factor? An individual's 10? 100?
1,000?
1,000? That's a great guess. Anybody else? Anyone want to mention? 2,500 times. Studies show that high-performance teams can be 2,500 times more productive than their counterparts. And then that's the space that JD and I operate. That's where what we do. What we don't do is lecture. So rather than lecturing, slide, what we're going to do is we're going to run a scenario. Because right now, all of us here today, we aren't really a team, right? We're more of a cohesive set of individuals that come together for a common purpose. We are a group. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to simulate something that will be beneficial and add value to you as a group. Because as business leaders, what do? You go out and you wrestle other stakeholders and resources to create synergies. We do that within teams. When you do that, you encounter the other. So you have to negotiate. So what we're going to do today is we're going to introduce you to some negotiation principles, what we call meta principles, that are these first principles that you find when you encounter a negotiation opportunity. So what I'd like you to do is we're going to group up, and thank you for having people count off, by the way, Paul. Off the bat, what's at stake here? What was your goal? What were you trying to do? Anybody?
Beat everybody in the room.
Great answer. Beat everybody in the room. Anybody else?
No, get the highest possible score.
Get the highest possible score. Good. Anybody else? Yes.
I wanted to provide the best service to my customer.
Provide the best service to your customer. Okay.
Yeah.
By definition, the rule was make the most money for your client possible.
Yeah.
So this is very close. Gary, it's interesting that you said beat everybody else in the room. What made you say that?
That's my answer.
That's your nature. We're competitive. We're all competitive by nature, right? When we negotiate, when we encounter the other, some of us, we want to beat the other. Now, if that's not ingrained in us ourselves, sometimes that's a hard concept to grasp. That the other that we meet may want to just beat us. That's how they define winning. So let's ask the question, how do we win? How do we win? Okay, who went negative first? Anybody go negative first? Okay, who went second? There we go. I was going to say, you guys are pretty close. Why did you guys go negative second? Why did you go negative?
Strategy.
Strategy?
They're going to zig, we're going to zag.
Okay, so you wanted to differentiate.
Yep.
They showed a positive, so you said, hey, they're going to go positive. Let's make some money on it, right? Because your goal was to make the most money
That's right.
for your client.
Yep.
All right, here we end up with the classic prisoner's dilemma. That is, how do you trust someone else when it's in their best interest to hose you, to take advantage of you? Right? Isn't that the problem? A lot of times we synergize, we meet the unknown. These guys were experts at taking advantage of you guys. I'm sorry, but that if you add up their points, it's painful, it's brutal. So let me ask you guys a question. Well, they went
They
negative.
beat everybody in the room.
That's right. I'm sorry. So you folks, mea culpa, 2-5. They beat you guys up, right? So let me ask you, when they went negative, how did you interpret that? What did that say to you?
We were playing our own game.
Okay. So do you think that was good for the client or bad for the client?
Well, we went positive on every single thing because none of us are negative people, so we weren't we were playing the game by the rules.
Okay, so you took the moral high ground.
Yeah.
You said, hey, we're gonna lead.
Yeah.
We're gonna show by example what you should do, which is morally ethical or whatever for the good for society.
Right.
And your job was to make the most money for your client. So what did your client say to you at the end of the
We probably got fired.
You guys probably got fired. So you're out of business. So now in retrospect, let's think about that. Was that the best strategy? Was that the best tactic?
It's best for us.
So the best strategy is to go out of business. Okay, anybody else? Did anybody else go negative? Anybody else go negative? Oh, I know more than
we
you guys were saying. You guys thought about it?
Yeah.
Okay. No one else went negative? There were more than one.
We ran a positive campaign.
Okay, well, then let me skip past point one. Typically, point one is I'm not going to skip past it, I'll just hit it. Point one is, oh, I'm killing your time too, Paul. All right, point one is when there's restricted and limited communication, all defensive actions, typically people go negative, a lot of times out of defense. They say, I want to be protectionist. When you go protectionist, you communicate to the other side, it's an offensive move. That's how they de facto interpret it. So, when you, the first thing you want to do in establishing a cooperative versus a competitive environment is you want to teach your counterparty that it's in their interest to cooperate with you. What you folks did by going positive every single time is you gave them a different message. What did you guys hear when they went positive?
They weren't changing.
They weren't changing. So if you were to package their statement, what would it be?
Package their statement, obstinate.
Okay. I hear a lot of people say, murder us.
Predictable.
Right. I hear a lot of people say, you communicate to them, kill us. We have lunch, eat it. It's yours.
Drop it east to see the sunset.
Right, there you go. So if our goal is to get the other, our counterpart, to cooperate, and we need to convince them that's in their best interest to cooperate rather than take advantage of us, we certainly don't want to incentivize them to take advantage of us more, right?
Yeah.
So playing Mr. Nice Guy all the time, irrespective of how they respond, is basically just giving away the farm, right? So how do we convince them to cooperate with us?
Go negative.
Go negative.
They go negative, we go
Bingo.
negative. But
Exactly.
that's a wash.
Right.
If we're both negative, then we both lose.
Right, exactly. Okay, so there was a study, and I'm accelerating here. There's a study, an Axelrod study that basically said, hey, look, let's not do 10 rounds, let's do 200 rounds. Let's not do fictitious money, let's put our real money in it. So this is what they found. They found that you have to have a message that's very easy to decipher because you are educating your opponent. You want to teach them it's in their best interest to cooperate with you. So if they go negative, you go negative back. So you punish the behavior you don't want. If they go positive, you go positive back. You reward the behavior you want. So you're educating them. Very simple, not convoluted algorithms about 2 negatives, a positive, and 4 negatives. Very simple. It's called tit for tat.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is real. What happened in 1982 was some marketing genius in American Airlines said, hey, look, let's get some market share. They introduced a new concept in the market. It was frequent flyer miles. Frequent flyer miles became double frequent flyer miles, became triple frequent flyer miles, became blah, blah, blah. Warren Buffett said, hey, it might have been the business, if not the ethical thing to do, to shoot down the Wright brothers, because as an industry, airlines have lost $100 million, have lost money over the first 100 years of their existence. They've just consumed wealth. And they did that because we had this negative cycle of distrust and paranoia, etc. Well, someone went negative, another person went negative. So when American Airlines went frequent flyer miles, how did United Airlines respond?
Frequent flyer miles.
Well, we'll get frequent flyer miles too. For Christmas, we're going to do triple, quadruple, whatever. By 1986, you had nearly $3 billion of debt that was not recorded on their balance sheet. So Arthur Anderson don't exist anymore, but the other big eights, they all said, we got to write this down. 2 years later, it had ballooned to $8 billion. They couldn't race to the bottom fast enough. Funny enough, around the same time, the auto industry did the same thing. GM came out and said, let's be creative. Let's have some new fancy financing, 6.7%. We'll drop it down to 2. We'll drop it down to 0. Lee Iacocca said, we make great cars, Chrysler. Why race to the bottom? So he came out with a new program. He said, look, announce it to the world, because CEOs can't just call each other, right? You have monopoly problems. So he came out with a program and said, look, we're going to introduce a new program in the market. It's going to expire on October 22nd. But I'll tell you what, we will meet or beat any competitor's offer. But I'm telling you, right now, this new program is going to end on October 22nd. What was he doing?
Incentivizing.
Incentivizing. He was telling GM and Ford and everybody else, tit for tat. Look, you guys encroached. I'm going to slap you back. If you do it again, I'll hit you again. I'm telling you right now, this is it, tit for tat. So the automobile industry recovered. So, I'm going to tie up real fast here for you, Paul. So I've hit you with a whole bunch of things real fast. It's a lot to digest. These are what we call meta principles. What they are is they're biases. We all have cooperative versus competitive bias. It's good to know what your internal bias is before you enter into that negotiation. Real simple, I'll leave you with this. The ideal strategy moving forward, as they've proven time and time again, long-term relationships, is developed in that negotiation when you create synergies with resource partners, etc. Is first, show that you can be trusted. You have to build trust, start out positive. However, that being nice, you have to know when to be tough. When they respond negative to you, you have to punish that behavior. Ideally, you'll have the opportunity to actually communicate and not just speak by actions. But when you don't, your actions speak much louder than your words. Be strong, be firm, be clear, be easy for them to decipher. And that's what we call meta principles of negotiation. All right, so at Teammanship, again, what we do is we break apart the high performance potential opportunities for your teams, your stakeholders, and strategic partners. Even if you're a monad, if you're a solopreneur, you have partners that you work with, get together with them, we can help break that open. We can help you guys together as a team achieve closer to that 2,500 times performance factor. Thank you very much.
This is normally like a 3-hour program that they gave you in 30